YouTube and on Facebook, and then you take the audio from the podcast and you upload it onto Libsyn, SoundCloud, Spreaker, YouTube podcast. You could do like the audio version of it. My podcast is on like 8 different platforms. KeithKalfas.com/podcast, and so now you have an actual podcast that people can listen. You can submit your podcast to iTunes, and now you have it in the iTunes podcast section under that category, right? Then what you can do is you can get the entire. This is the strategy right here. You can get the entire podcast transcribed on rev.com, rev.com. There's other transcriptionist sites. Rev.com is a good one. There's a bunch of them. And then somebody will actually go in and type everything that you said, or you can get an app or software called OtterBox. It's cheap. It listens to everything you said. Google now is coming out with, it's called Google Transcribe. It's in the beta phase, but it'll actually, if you can like put your phone out and then play the whole podcast, and it'll just type everything that you said for like a half an hour straight. Now the problem is you can get an app called Grammarly. It's another subscription, and you can scan, it'll fix all the spellings, you can block quote it, and you can literally turn an entire podcast into an ebook that you can sell, or you can turn it into a 2,000 or 4,000 word blog post article that you just spoke all the content. You go and you edit it all. I'm going to tell you something exciting in a minute. Now you take this blog post and it lives on your website, and it's search engine optimized friendly, and it has links to your website with calls to action that drive people into the funnel to get the free PDF download that I talked about. It's your call to action. Then you take and you embed the video inside so they can watch it, and then inside of the blog post you embed the podcast link to SoundCloud, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher FM radio, Anchor FM, all these different, right? You put that inside of the podcast, and then you ever see those blue clickable links on when you read a blog about something? It takes you to somewhere else. Now you can start inserting hyperlinks and outbound linking, building backlinks to other related articles about medical marijuana, or where did you find this piece of literature, because you never plagiarized, but you can run a plagiarism checker, right? I do that too. And now you're outbound linking, and now you're building backlinks, and you're gripping into the internet, and so now you've got a video, you've got a podcast, you've got a blog post, and now you can take, if you said something that was really profound, oh, I like that, let's create a quote card. Now you can take a picture, you develop a whole bank of pictures of medical marijuana. I was talking about that book in the last video, and you can take one of the pictures, and now you can fade it and put beautiful white text. Always use the same colors and same fonts on everything, so you're creating branding. Everything looks the same, so no matter where anybody is on the internet, if they see something, they'll know it's from you, because the font is always the same, the color's always the same, there's always that little tag in the corner, and there's always that little swirly thing, and you always use the color yellow and everything. Like, does that make sense? Yeah. Everything has a consistency, but, excuse me. So when you do that, now you're going to create quote cards of something profound that you said, quoted by you, and they're going to go being posted on Instagram and on Facebook, right? And then you're going to take a little tiny video clip of the coolest part of the podcast, the best 60 seconds of when you made an amazing point, or one of your guests said something that was really cool, and you're going to take that, extract that out, and export that clip to Instagram or Instagram stories, and you're going to tag and title it all about medical marijuana and all this, and then plug it in and share it with other people. And now you're syndicating the content and repurposing it. So all you actually did was made the one original podcast on video, but now what do you got? Now you got a podcast, now you got a blog post, now you've got quote cards, now you've got little 60-second video clips that you're sharing around from it. So you can make literally like 20 different pieces of content that come off of one. Now you can take a screenshot of the podcast blog, and then take it and then share it on Instagram stories and swipe up and link it to the actual thing. And now what happens is, when you are syndicating all this free valuable content, and it's coming out on a content marketing calendar, and you're putting it on the internet all the time, which I said put it on autopilot, which means you could actually hire a team of virtual assistants to do all this. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 virtual assistants who work for me right now. In Southeast Asia is my podcast editor. Whenever I have a podcast that comes out, she edits the podcast, increase the sound so it sounds good, takes my intro and outro bumper that I've created, which is welcome to my podcast with the music. She puts that at the beginning, at the end. So if I have a video on YouTube that wasn't even a podcast, but it was me talking about a whole topic, it'll get converted and turned into a podcast and syndicated and repurposed, and now it's on my podcast. Dude, I have like 30,000 people a month. No, I don't know, I gotta check my stats, listening to my podcast. And I only actually make, like, it's just happening on autopilot. And I have in Russia is my video editor who's editing my videos. So I could take this video right here and send it to my editor in Russia, and he'll edit all the videos. And then I have my blog post editor in, I think, like Minnesota or something. And then I'm hiring a project manager. So you actually get to the point where you hire a project manager who manages all the virtual assistants that you can get for like anywhere from $5 to $12 an hour, from Singapore to Asia to Malaysia to wherever, who do this stuff for you. And now your job, once you get the money flowing, is you're just creating your podcast, and you have these people syndicating it all over social media, garnering thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Why do you want to do all that? You're not making any money. You're just putting out all this free content. You're doing what's called content marketing. Content marketing does work. I have brand deals where I have companies paying me from $500 a month. One company pays me, and all I have to do is mention their stuff and say, this podcast has been brought to you by this company. And they're literally sending me checks every single month. And it's kind of annoying, but I like the money and I believe in it. Right? But this is how you get paid. Another company they're sending me a check right now for $2,000 because I made one YouTube video about their product, because I get millions of views and they want their product in front of my audience, so I develop a brand deal page, and now I'm doing brand deals. You can get paid by having a lot of views, but that's a totally different, you gotta pick apples and oranges, right? If you want to be an expert online, you want to drive people into your own products, so you don't automatically become someone's marketing bitch, because you can get stuck in being broke and famous, right? Like, I've learned a lot of hard lessons in this. So I hope all that makes sense to you. And in the next video, I'm going to tell you how you do all this on Upwork.com. And I'm really talking business now. I'm trying to cram this in as much as possible. How do you monetize all this and actually put it into action so it actually works? Where do you house all this stuff? How do you do this? I'll see you in the next video.